Alright, now this is a Chevy cube van, I guess you'd call it. Many years ago, this thing was unfit for road use and relegated to storage only duties. At this point, you can't even open the door, so it's not really good for storage either. Basically, it's useless. So I've got to take it from a good parking spot and move it out back. I know absolutely nothing about this. I don't even know how long it's been sitting here, but by the level of mold growing on it, I'm thinking it's been a while. Tires are all sunk in the ground. Windows are all totally mold covered. I think it drove in here, so maybe it ran when parked. The only thing I do know for sure is I found the keys to it. Now the obvious thing to do is just hook a chain to this truck and drag it, but that wouldn't be as much fun as driving it. Not going to put a lot of effort into it, but I'm going to give it a quick throw a battery in and see what happens kind of deal. Alright, we have a door that opens, so we're already winning here. Standard Chevy looking stuff, definitely looks like a Chevy. We have one HEI cap, another HEI cap, another HEI cap. So we probably are going to have an issue with the ignition. Now I love the way the engine cover is appropriately placed on here. So let's just get that out of the way. Anything scurrying? Nothing scurrying. Oh, there's an HEI cap on it. Maybe they finally fixed it. And oh, a boat tank. Standard small block. Yep, check. And yeah, we're done here. Let's go into the hood and see what's there. Hopefully there's a hood release somewhere. Maybe there's not. I wonder what year this is. It's got an HEI. I thought they started in '74. So you'd think it'd have an interior hood latch. Ooh, I like the original color. Looks like a sanitarium green or something. But the headlights, this might be early 70s. Maybe, I don't know. I actually know nothing about these things. Just making up as I go along like usual. Alright, something popped. Ow. Alright, something popped onto my fingers. Nothing scurrying, nothing running. Hey, it's got a hydro boost. I like that already. Yep. Motor's still there. Let's prop this thing open, throw a battery in, and see what happens. Alright, this is kind of cool. They actually have the all the options it has. Mirror, heavy duty rear, hydromatic transmission, standard body, has tires. Fixed side door glass. V8 engine, 350. Let's see. Oh, yeah, we've got options. Alright, and we have... That's an odd terminal. That's kind of cool. It's like a quick release terminal. I like that. Then this one's labeled plus. Nice. We're getting better already. And the battery box rusted away. There's some kind of grate there. That's perfect. Huh, there's dipsticks. Should we see if it has oil? Yeah, that's down low, but it's on the stick. So we'll see if it even turns over. It may be seized already. Alright, got a little battery. Let's see how this works. Now this thing looks like maybe an extra ground lying around here. That might be important. There's a lot of wires just sort of wire nutted in place here, so that's never a good sign. This whole thing, I don't know if you can see that, there's no structure here. This is pretty much all rusted, so the front end's sort of falling into the front of the vehicle. Someone tried to do maybe a 1/4 inch thick of Bondo to hold it together, but yeah, there's not a whole lot to this front end left that actually does the holding stuff. I'm almost thinking the weight of the battery is pulling the whole front end in. Let's turn the key and see what happens. Well, the starter sounds terrible, but it's turning over. Let's dump some gas in the carb. No wing nut again. So that's always a plus. Saves time. Makes you know this thing's been done a lot. Ooh, something was living in there. Let me take you for the tour. We have all the acorns. We have spider webs. Let's just remove this whole air cleaner. That'll make things easier. Alright, self-removing. Try not to spill any in the car. Why is this nut so long? You don't need that. There we go. Clean that out if anything works. Nothing's running out at me. Gas pedal's flat to the floor. That's not a good sign. Oh, cable is off. Throttle blades they move. Okay. So it looks like the cable's snapped, because that's not doing anything related to the floor. But we're okay with that. That doesn't stop it from running. Alright. Let me find some gas. Got the old soup can full of gas again. Let's just pour some all over the place. Some probably went in the vent. Let's see what happens. That's running. That was running. Well now, pretty much we need to get that boat tank fuel system going and we might have another runner here. Nice. Threw about a gallon and a half of gas in this tank. It's leaking already, so that's a good sign. Maybe I should depressurize it. But I did, when I was working on it, I noticed handwritten right here, it says good. So we already know this is going to be fine. Because that's what it says. Something like that. Try to keep the pickup down, because I don't have a whole lot of fuel in here. Alrighty. Fuel system is probably perfect at this point. Let's get the gas line off the manifold. And let's turn our attention back to the motor. See if it'll actually pump some fuel into it. Oh, poured some on the manifold, that's good. It'll help clean off the old oil. Well, it's kind of working. That's kind of surprising. All right, now that's very surprising. Now the oil pressure light is staying on, which is not a good sign. But remember, it was barely on the stick. So we're going to take the advice of this big gallon jug that was sitting in here of oil, and we're going to go throw some oil in it. This is another learn from my mistakes moment. I checked the oil before I started this motor. And it was on the stick, just barely. Usually that's about 2 quarts low. And then after I started it, I didn't check it again. I just let it run for a bit and realized the oil pressure wasn't building. So I figured I'd go back and check it. I've added almost 3 quarts to this at this point. And yeah, it was real low. So after that first fire, I should have checked it again, and before I ran it for a little longer. We'll see how much that bites me in the end. Yep, we're just between add and full, so we're in good shape now. So that was way down. Should have known by the gallon jug in the passenger seat it needed oil. The empty gallon jug in the passenger seat. There's the training fluid dipstick. I'm going to put it in gear to check that. Now this van has been sitting around long enough. I actually have trees growing through some of the things leaning against it. So it's going to take me a little while to clear all this stuff away. But I'm going to try putting this in gear next, and I don't want to, immediately crash into something. At least not immediately. We'll save that for later. Oh, that's full of something. Wonder what. There we go. Now I can actually get to the flat tire. into drive, but not reverse. So that might be a bit of an issue when it's pulled in forward. Maybe I should actually check that fluid. I'm going to check the coolant because I haven't checked that yet. So before I overheat the motor, checking the fluid for the transmission, I'll check the coolant. I can see coolant in the radiator, so that's fine. Let's start it back up and check the trans fluid. It sounded better every time I started. A little bit of a belt issue. Still is a lifter tick, but starting up pretty decent. Yeah, bone dry. Let's add some of this too. There's little chunks of stuff on the stick. That probably should worry me. But I'm not going to worry about that. Alright, 2 quarts of ATF. Let's see if we get it on the stick now. Alright, we're on the stick. I just noticed a huge gas leak going to the carb. Put it in gear real quick and shut it down. See if it moves in reverse. We've got reverse, we head forward, we have some weird sounds coming out and a big gas leak, so I probably should take care of some of that stuff. Sounded like something was hitting the fan at this point. That little connector line was dribbling like crazy, so we're just going to replace that rubber hose. That part's easy. This fan blade started hitting the shroud. Zip ties, duct tape, or baling wire will take care of that. Found the fuel line issue. We have a crack there and a crack there. So, that might have caused the leak, which, you know, it was leaking from there, so yeah, that caused the leak. Thinking about where to get new fuel line from. I didn't find any lying around, but I realized I got excess here. So I'm going to shorten up this fuel line by, say, just about that much, and everything should be fine. And it'll keep it off the exhaust manifold better. It's a win-win. Perfect. Let's put this together like nothing ever happened. We're going to try this again. One thing I haven't done is actually press the brake pedal at any point. I'm thinking if I get it out of these holes, I might want to know whether or not that works. Sounded pretty nice though. Did something. I don't think that Hydro Boost is too happy. Let's see if we can move it. Well, that wasn't it wasn't a failure, just it wasn't a success either. So let's see, I might have to get this thing out of the holes it's in. Also going to check the brake fluid because, you know, why not? At this point I might need them. And I think if I might have to tug this out a little bit in order to get it to roll again, then I think I can move it on level ground. That side was bone dry, this one had some. I filled that up, so well, maybe it'll start doing something until it leaks out, but that's okay. I'm not driving this thing far. It's always a good sign when there's actual water droplets inside your master cylinder. Yeah, that might be a little bit contaminated. Alright, since I know I'm not going to be in it, I'm going to put a block behind the wheels so when it rolls out, it doesn't keep going. Hopefully that'll stop it. be moving. That's something. The front tire seems to be a bit of an issue. Let's see if it frees up as we drive. I'm just going to spray penetrating oil on the brakes. That seems like the obvious solution. Those rotors are pretty corroded. Never had a need to oil my brake pads before, but this seems like the perfect time for it. We'll just give them a good oiling. Dirty spots in a different area now. Looks like the tire started turning a little bit, then locked up again. That didn't sound good. I tried to use the brakes when I started going backwards. Now the other side front tire is locked up. So this is just getting worse. So it's time for a different plan. What I realized is this vehicle is telling me what its intended purpose is. It's intending to be a parts vehicle because that motor and transmission do work, and they're probably core value, but they could be rebuilt, or I could just use them as is because I do that. But this vehicle is telling me what it wants. It wants to be taken apart for parts. And the reason I know that is it's removing its own engine. It actually has started the removal process. The cross member has fallen off completely. The transmission is falling out. This might explain some of the fan shroud clearance issues I have. And the motor sort of hops around a little bit when you drive it. Kind of funny. So I'm going to drag this out somewhere where I can actually get to the motor and transmission to yank that at some point when I need it for something else. I really don't need to get it to drive any further. I just need to move it. that's it for this one. Got it moved, got it out of the way, got it somewhere where I can get in and yank the motor out of this thing when I need it for a project. This one wasn't quite as successful as I hoped. I really wanted to drive it and park it, but when it didn't drive, that gave me an excuse to use that Oshkosh for something it's good at, which is moving heavy stuff. So, still a win either way. Turned out that motor is better than I thought it was when I went into this project. Transmission works both forward and back. That'll be a good thing for something someday. And I get to move on to another fun project. So I'm going to go do that. You guys keep having fun too, and we'll see you next time.